What's up? I'm back. In this segment, I'm going to talk about enlightenment. A few people ask me, what constitutes enlightenment? What is it actually? How do you know when you're enlightened? It's going to be a short video. It's a good question. I think it's complicated in the sense that the bar has been set so low for humanity for a long time that when the bar, when if everybody's blind, the one-eyed man is king. It's the reality of it. And then, at the end of the day, when you set low standards for yourself, then anyone could proceed and anyone could be enlightened in that stage. And yes, every potential human being has the ability to be enlightened. That is true. But true enlightenment is a totally another ball game. And the difference is, we have seven chakras as humans, right? The fact that we have seven chakras as humans kind of give a little hint at the divine nature in human beings. It said in the Bible, God created the world in 7 days. We have seven chakras. Well, really 6 days, but seven for rested. But it was still credited as a week, 7 days. That's very important because, in a sense, what that usually means is the divine lives in humans for sure. You could say the divine lives in all animals, but most animals have three chakras. Bacteria kind of have like one chakra. Humans have seven. So, in a sense, what happens is the seven creative forces of God exist potentially in humans. Now, what's happened over time is that most humans, our chakras not operating the way we're supposed to be. Most of us have one or two chakras activated, some three, but even if you have all seven activated, that was not enlightenment. That was how human beings in the past were born. Eventually, the humans were able to start to create additional chakras. So, when you look at the Tarot tradition and you see the Mercury sign over the magician's head, that's like another chakra. The Gnostics would call that the Christ body. The Taoists would call it the immortal body. Whatever name you want to call it, it was with the creation of that chakra, the person can reach what's enlightenment. And even then, it's higher stages, but a significantly higher stage of enlightenment than the person who has seven chakras. Why? Because with the eighth chakra actually operates as a second brain. So because the eighth chakra actually operates as a second brain, the person would definitely, be able to process information, energy, consciousness, double to triple the amount. And I say double to triple the amount because usually to have the eighth chakra, this person would have to probably have their stomach. Their stomach is actually a secondary brain. So the person in question will probably have had to link their stomach and brain completely. Where you understand what the role of the stomach is. The stomach is the second brain. The stomach is the brain that you control totally with your diet. So when the brain and stomach link up over a long period of time, the eighth chakra is created. So it's kind of like they have three brains. With most of us, bad diet, lack of information, lack of understanding of how important the stomach is, we end up not really linking the stomach to the brain the way it's supposed to. So it's like you go from somebody who has three brains to one brain. And then on top of that, most of us are heavy either right side or left side. Right hemisphere dominant, left hemisphere dominant. Because of that, most people only using one half of it, one part of the brain they already have. So as you can see, things start getting chopped up. So then steps in the person who could pass themselves off as enlightened. Most people who have four chakras from the root to the heart chakra intellectually understand what it's like to be enlightened. So when you have the most individuals right now in the public who maybe have one or two chakras open, somebody has four or five chakras open. Because with the throat chakra, you probably can even speak like an enlightened person. Those individuals sometimes get thought of as being enlightened or pass themselves off as enlightened. And mind you, even if they activate all seven chakras, that doesn't make you enlightened in the highest levels. Because you still need basically the light of the constellations. The real truth is, you have the sun, you got the moon, right? The human body, for the most part, is very lunar. With spiritual work, you're supposed to make it solar. So, after spiritual work for a long period of time, you activate, seven chakras. That's the highest level of, let's say, lunar immortality. And then you activate the eighth chakra. And when you activate the eighth chakra, the sun starts to shine in you balance, where now you achieve a different level, different state of consciousness, different state of being. If you want to say solar mortality, you could say solar mortality. Eventually, a time comes when you would probably create more than 8 chakras, which will be another time. Could take many years, which then you could hold the light of the constellations in you. Because the thing that's interesting is that the constellational energies, which are just suns too, sometimes moons from different constellations. So constellational energy is still solar energy, but it's fainter, and for most humans, it doesn't really affect them as much. It starts to affect you as your energy goes up. Like, think of your body as an antenna. As the antenna gets more, or even a musical instrument, as the musical instrument gets more in tune, you could pick up more energies. So for most people, the constellation is not really as dominant in their personality as the planets. And even Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune are not as dominant as the 7 old planets of astrology. Venus, Saturn, they used to count the moon and the sun. Those are even more dominant because you have to kind of sharpen your music instrument to be able to pick up those frequencies. So a truly enlightened person, number one, you have a concept of something called a higher guardian angel, which is an intelligence, or the inner genie, if you want to call it that, which is intelligence that is assigned to you at birth. When you're enlightened, you will be able to hear that intelligence with your physical ears, like you hear my voice right now. Now, that voice is always speaking to you, so we all hear it, but instead of hearing it with our ears, we feel it in our hearts. And what happens is, because we feel it in our hearts, the thing that happens, or what comes about from that, is you then have to kind of manage your ego to see if you're following, if that's the right voice that you're following. So you don't hear it with your ears, but you still hear it with your heart. Still pretty strong feeling. What happens when a person is enlightened? That voice, you start to hear it with your physical ears. When a person is truly enlightened, plants, animals, you can actually even start to talk to them, or at least understand what they want, or what thoughts they're projecting. Enlightenment is very hard to really fake if you know what to look for. If the person is enlightened, they will never talk about their past lives or who they are in the public, because they understand that every new incarnation is a new set of circumstances. So if John was a pharaoh, who knows, 3000 BC, and then John now is a doctor or a security guard in the 21st century, him as a pharaoh only is relevant to his understanding of his blocks or his karma. But in terms of what his role is in 21st century, it has nothing to do. The fact that he was a pharaoh in 3000 BC has nothing to do with his life now. So if he uses that to present himself as a god in this life, that's obviously a sign that the person is not enlightened. Enlightenment is very hard to fake if you know what it is. So most of the time when you have to ask if you're enlightened, probably, I'm being nice and say you might be on the right path, but when you're truly enlightened, you just know. And when you know, you don't broadcast it to other people, because it's something on your personal journey. And in a sense, it's like an inner light that you have that other people have to recognize. If they don't recognize it, maybe it means that you're not supposed to share it with them. That's basically how it goes. So if you're on the path and you think you might be, you have to look at it like, do you understand the plant spirits, the animal spirits, the physical plants, physical animals? And I don't mean you have to go in the jungle and try to talk to lions. Even simple domesticated animals. Do you understand them? Can you figure them out? Plants are, partners have been partners of man for a long time. Can you, something simple as, if you're sick, can you go in the jungle? And could be learned by people not lying. You go in the jungle, you kind of, you could see the plant, cut it, you know what part to eat. Most of us have to read books for that. Now, of course, some people could train with the plants, and like, let's say some shamans or holistic healers could be in the jungle or be in those type of areas, and they can, learn what part of the plants are healthy for them to eat and stuff like that. But look at animals. When an animal's sick, most animals instinctively know what plant to eat, what part of the plant to eat. They even instinctively know to fast. Most of us have to get that intellectually. We have to learn fasting, what part of the plants we're supposed to eat. When a person is really enlightened, they automatically know. They could probably talk to the plant spirits or the plant itself to some extent. And some shamans have that ability, and even some shamans don't say they're enlightened, because most shamans are probably operating on 4 or 5 chakras open, and they don't even say they're enlightened, and they can talk to plants and animals already. So let alone a regular person who's saying they're enlightened and they can't talk to plants and animals, they can't hear their higher guardian angel. Then you could be in the path of enlightenment, but the path of enlightenment could take many lifetimes. But the real key is, don't get confused. When your heart chakra and your throat chakra is open, yes, that is, in the heart chakra particularly, we call that in alchemy the lesser elixir. Meaning, you can intellect you from that point when the root chakra to the heart chakra is open, not just the heart chakra open and the other chakras closed, but from the root to the heart chakra, when that's open, you could intellectually understand what enlightenment is, what you have to do from that point. That's the difference. And because you could intellectually understand it, sometimes it's easy for you to confuse yourself or somebody else, maybe who might have their root chakra, the heart chakra open, as being enlightened. But enlightenment, it's specific. It's not something that you can fake. Enlightenment, it's a specific set of qualities the person would exhibit. So I hope that helps. Until next time, peace.